welcome back to another Red Leaf Retrocast episode. This is episode 114. My theme pick today, I'm your host JD. It's puzzle platformers. My kind of game.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been in the mood for some puzzles myself.
Yeah, I mean
lately.
we've played a lot of
Those
like
works.
first person shooters and murdering people, and then Joey picked girls the previous episode.
So all the good stuff.
I was like,
just all the good stuff.
I gotta play something relaxing that I could play for like 20 minutes, come on this podcast and be like, yes, that was a fun game for 20 minutes. Or maybe not. And then we can just kind of bullshit around the rest of the time. But I ended up playing these two games for quite a while, probably 3 hours a piece for the two of them. And then I went back to trying to play a bunch of my PS5 games. But yeah, that was the kind of reason behind the puzzle platformers. They're just tried and true formula. I kind of wish more games would come out every once in a while. Good puzzle platform, but you don't really see them these days. Joey, how you doing? Everton
right.
gets relegated. How did they do it?
They survived. The skin of their teeth.
You must be happy.
Just barely got on.
You must be happy
that's
that
all
also Liverpool blew like 4 cups in the same season.
Hey, they won 2 cups? They lost the league and they lost.
I thought they also lost.
League.
No, it was Chelsea.
But they won the 2 domestic cups.
FA. Yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool won the 2 domestic. But I mean, the next Everton coach beat him in the Champions League, so I mean, he left for a reason, and he completed his reason.
Colin, how you doing?
Some good, some bad. I'll start with the good. As you both may remember, I went to Florida a few weeks ago. Hey, I had a great time there. I mean, the hotel was a bit dumpy, but I wasn't spending the majority of my time there, so everything else is fantastic. I mean, spent 2 days at Disney World and 2 days at Universal Studios. I've wanted to go to both of those places since elementary school, because every Christmas holiday I had friends who would go to both parks and always came back with really cool stories, so I made it one of my goals in life to go to each of those parks at least once.
The one and only time I was there was when I was 9 years old. So we're talking 1997.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple new rides since then.
Yeah. Let me tell you, seeing the big castle at Magic Kingdom was a life-changing experience. It's one thing to see it in photos, but seeing it up close is a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's actually a hologram now. Someone blew it up many years ago. I'm sure you didn't know that, though, Colin.
Of course, I didn't know that because it didn't happen. I touched it with my own hand.
New sensory technology. It's very weird. You'd never believe it. Joey, tell him.
Of course.
I'm right, correct?
And yes,
I don't know. Can you be right? I don't know if I know.
He's got you there.
I mean, you can't, Joey. You can't say that I'm wrong.
Can't say that you're right either. So I'm just gonna not say anything.
I love that reasoning when people just come up with some arbitrary thing that's against your point, and they're just like, "Well, you can't prove me wrong." Well, I can't prove you right either, asshole. Like. It's come up quite a few times over the last couple weeks.
Well,
yeah,
I guess so. And yes, I did go on a good chunk of the most iconic rides at Disney World.
You did Tower of Terror?
Did Space Mountain.
Oh, that's my favorite ride when I was 9.
I couldn't. Aw.
Yeah, that was my favorite ride when I went too. And I think I was 11.
So Tower of Terror really gets that young prepubescent teenager age group.
Yeah, the Hollywood Studios park was pretty much full the entire week, so I couldn't go. But I did do Space Mountain and Splash Mountain and Small World, Haunted Mansion, Spaceship Earth, which is that big giant sphere at Epcot.
Oh, yes.
And a bunch more that I can't remember. And I even ended off my trip watching the nighttime fireworks and light show at the castle at Magic Kingdom. Didn't have time for the Hall of Presidents or Jungle Cruise, though. Oh, yeah, I also did Pirates of the Caribbean. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, it's fun.
Did you do Small World
Funny
and
enough,
lose your mind?
Friday night. Yes, I did. The jury's out on whether my mind is lost to that or my brutal work schedule coming back, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, Universal Studios was awesome too. The Velocicoaster at the Jurassic Park section is easily one of the best roller coasters I've ever been on. I had a lot of fun with the Harry Potter areas. I mean, I got a butterbeer and then I took a picture of myself drinking it and sent it to my mom because she loves Harry Potter. And then I rode the train between Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley. And then went on the Hogwarts Castle roller coaster. Got lunch at the Three Broomsticks. Fish and chips. Some damn good stuff.
Let's see, I'm looking up this Velocicoaster because this doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, it's kind of newer. I think it came out after
2021.
The Jurassic World
That's
movie.
why. That makes sense. Okay. Looks pretty rad.
Yeah, they even got Chris Pratt to do part of a little video that they play in when you're waiting in line. He's like, I just want to say to all of you potential ride goers, this is a really bad idea.
That won't activate anyone's anxiety.
It's like, yeah, put a roller coaster in the Velociraptor paddock. What could go wrong?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are just brand new.
I
could probably make a trip and only go to those things I've never been on before, between Harry Potter and Jurassic World and I'm blanking on Pirates of the Caribbean. That's like that's a whole trip right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was a couple of coasters I wanted to go on but didn't have time for, or they were having technical difficulties. And there's the Hagrid's Care of Magical Creatures forest ride, which is like you're basically on like this flying motorbike type thing going on a roller coaster through the Forbidden Forest.
There's a whole Star Wars section too, isn't there?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
at Hollywood Studios. But like I said, I couldn't go to that specific park. But there was also a Gringotts Bank roller coaster that I didn't have time to go on in Diagon Alley. And yeah, there's also a Simpsons section. I wanted to get something to eat at Krusty Burger, but I ended up being too late in the day.
God, this is just a totally different theme park.
There's also
now.
Moe's Tavern.
I remember my experience being the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, going to like the wacky little Jaws thing, the King Kong with the earthquake stage. Like it's like I was still in the 1980s going to Disney World.
Yeah, my favorite thing was like their what they call like 40 whatever.
Yes,
was Honey I Shrunk the Kids. And they blew air at your feet and it felt like rats.
I remember that. Yeah, you're in the wacky little 4D theater.
Yeah, they've actually got like something called the Bourne Stuntacular now, which is like the Jason Bourne type stuff
cool.
going on stage with like big screen. And they'll actually like, if there's like waterfalls involved, they'll actually like spray water mist on the audience. Yeah. It's like a 4D experience, as they call it. And they'd actually have like these big props, like a giant hotel building coming on stage, and they'd fight on top of it. And then the Jason Bourne actor would toss the stuntman off of it, and he'd go falling into a hole in the stage. I was like, I hope those guys are getting paid well.
I think they're under the I think they're under SAG. I'm pretty sure. because they have to be trained stuntman, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Ah, all right.
But yeah, it was a fun trip, and and funny enough, while I was gone, a tornado touched down here in Ontario. So there was like a giant windstorm all over.
Okay,
like,
so we're not talking
Ontario.
like Toronto or Niagara Falls. We're talking where? Okay.
Uxbridge, which is about an hour's
that's like
drive
a different
from
country.
Toronto.
Come on.
But the rest of southern Ontario got hit pretty hard too. I mean, I went back to Oshawa on just yesterday, and a whole bunch of trees were missing really big limbs. Heck, there was like 3 trees in a row that actually knocked each other over in a domino effect, according to my mom. So they got hit pretty hard. And me being a garbage man, I was part of the cleanup effort, having to grab all that yard waste. And it's still an ongoing cleanup.
Well, consistent work.
Yeah, I'm getting more hours and getting more tonnage, so that means lots of extra cash. Maybe I'll spend it on a PS5.
Do I have some stuff to talk about with the PS5? Okay, I guess that's a good transition then. I played a fuck ton of games over the last month since we last... I was ready to talk a bunch in the previous episode, but we had to miss it due to scheduling, in case anyone cared or was wondering. I beat Ass Creed Valhalla. 76 hours this game took. Insane. I cannot remember the last time I played a game over, I would say, 45 hours. That's kind of like the mark where it just hits me. It hit me with Persona 3, hit me with a number of different games, where once I just get to that, the game's got to have something to keep me in. And I believe the last one that I played over 50 or 45 was Octopath Traveler. I think that was the last time. So it's been a number of years.
Nice.
And let me tell you, this Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it has an ending that rivals Lord of the Rings. As in
Really?
Not the content being good, as in it just keeps going. There's like 4 endings to this game, and the credits don't even roll.
Holy shit.
It's just oh, you completed it. I'm like, but I didn't kill the last Templar. Oh, but there's still like another mission or 2 you have to do. Oh man. Did the main character die? Did the evil villain live? Oh, there's still 3 more missions to go. Like, my God, what? And it has all ending sequences that tells you essentially the game is an ending, but there's more you could do. So maybe that's not the true ending. It's like, oh my God.
Sounds a bit like Gravity Rush
insane.
2.
I was losing my mind by the end of it. I was like, I just want to stop, but I need to know. I was in quite a dire state, but I gotta say, it's not the best Assassin's Creed, but it is very engaging, and it has an incredible loop to it with how do I explain this? You have your territories in England, and each territory has a story to it. Now, are half of those territories feel like mostly filler? Yes. That was kind of a problem. I think my biggest critique would probably be that aspect where I wish that those territories weren't essentially mandatory. Now, if you want only one of the 4 endings, then they aren't, but I also wish there was an easier way to find where a lot of the Templars were, like based on the clues and whatnot. That was one of my favorite aspects of the game, but trying to find them all, which I ended up doing, I had to go to a guide. I was like, I don't know who I'm missing. The map is so massive. There are these things called zealots, and you kill them, and they give you clues to where the like main Templar group dudes are. But the only way you could really come across zealots is throwing your horse on like auto mode to go around, and you just randomly run into them. So I wish there was definitely a better way to come across those dudes. But one guy on YouTube, he was like, "Oh yeah, just stay at this fork, and then in the next 5 minutes, he'll cross this path, one way or another." I was like, "I like this guy." This guy had the best advice, rather than a couple of them were just like, "Oh yeah, they're in this region." Oh, asshole! Your advice sucks. But I did the other. I would say my other big critique with the Templars. So I think there's 5 main dudes that will get you to the super main dude, the head of the Templars for England, essentially. And 3 of them aren't even. I think it's 3 out of the 5 aren't even story related. You just get them by killing all of their like underling Templars. So that was kind of lame. I would say the coolest section of the game is this story where so your character he's like a reincarnation of a Norse god. Okay? And he gets these like dreams and visions and shit. And so he takes drugs and he goes and tries to unlock his past life. So you're in like Asgard and you're fighting there's like a couple boss battles where you're fighting these just huge Norse enemies. That was fucking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I wish more of like if Assassin's Creed was going to go the route of getting away from just here's a villain, hit a button and he's dead situation, just a one-hit kill system. Because that's what I could. That's really what I could do. Yeah. Just run up to the guy, slash him a few times, and he's dead, and then run away. Like one of the aspects of the original few games where you really had to kind of scope out and stalk and get your dude into an alley somehow and make sure no one would find you, because if you got caught, you're kind of screwed. Yeah. So in the new one, or in the newer ones, I should say, they went more action-based, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. It's just, if we're going to change kind of a major aspect about the game, I still feel that you need to kind of up certain other areas, in which they have done since Origins. Just, there should have been more in this one. And then, I think that covers Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Good game, probably like a 7 out of 10 situation. Very addicting. Very addicting. Yeah, the game only crashed like once on me. Twice, maybe? There was definitely some glitches that happened, though, with like boats going 10 feet in the air, which is funny. But that really only happened at the beginning. It didn't really happen in later parts of the game. So... Then I just beat Kena Bridge of Spirits last night. Are you guys familiar with this? Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, Joey.
Not
so
at all.
Kena Bridge of Spirits is essentially a Pixar-like platformer, as in Pixar, the kind of animation of characters and the heartwarming story, that kind of situation. You're a spirit guide. You have it. Colin, you would like this game. Its combat is very much like Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah, where you have a staff, main character, not as plot conspiracy like story, but good nonetheless. It's very much action platformer based. It's definitely made by a kind of what do they call it? Single A studios. I wouldn't say it's indie. I would say it's that level between indie and AAA. Yeah, we'll call it single A.
Yeah.
It's a single A studio because the game wants to be more open world, but it's extremely linear still. You can't really explore as much as the game kind of indicates that you might be able to. Traversing the world gets kind of It gets kind of a pain in the ass sometimes because there's no kind of on-screen indicator where you need to go for your objectives. So you're looking at this map back and forth over and over again. And the map isn't all that great. Things just play slow in general, and it's kind of janky. It's kind of janky. I'm not gonna lie. This game could use some fine tuning. But it only crashed once. Like, it froze on a sequence, and because the game saves perpetually, like every 10 seconds, it was no big deal. The combat is unreasonably hard at times. It took me, maybe it's me, but it took me a good chunk of effort to really get used to this combat, because the enemies hit holy hell hard. And yeah, there's like this thing called a wood knight, and he throws this massive wood boomerang, and the hitbox seemingly can come across the map. You can take like 2 or 3 hits and you're dead. It's at the beginning you're at like a 1 to 2 hit system essentially, and when you get to this dude, it's just like, I thought the wood knight was harder than most of the boss fights in the game, and he's like the first boss in the game, but then he's a normal enemy later. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. I always had issues with him. It's like, I think I beat it in like 11 hours. It's not a too terribly long game, but there's these things called meditation points that increase your health. And that's really the only real upgrade you get besides some varying different attacks. You get a bow and arrow, a grenade kind of situation. Don't really use them too much in the grand scheme, but puzzles are pretty easy. Didn't really get stuck on any of those. There was one that there was a cryptic like candle clue to how you're supposed to fire to these like 4 targets in order. But I was like, I gotta look this up. I don't get it. And it's talking to me maybe about the candles at this altar. And I go, what? Come on, game. Don't do those things. You gotta at least like hint these things are related somehow. Or point me in the direction of that. That's what makes good puzzles. Very timely puzzle. But the final boss is bullshit. It's really, really cheap. Because I was playing this game on hard for a good chunk, and it was definitely hard. But as the game went on, I was like, I'm tired of like being frustrated by these things, and the medium difficulty isn't that much different. Like, they hit slightly less cheap hard. Yeah, but the final boss has 3. It's one of those where it's got 3 phases, very cheap attacks that take massive chunks of your health away. But I would say the least favorite part is for the first 2 phases, or we'll call it phase and a half. It takes all your abilities away, all of them. So you're fighting. I had to face a wood knight with no abilities, and this was like my most daunting task in the game. It's so hard. And by the time I was like done with this guy, it took me like a good 2.5 hours to beat this dude, this final boss. So that's a good chunk of the game, of my game playing time right there, was the final boss. But overall, I would say the game's pretty good. I'd probably go 6 out of 10, just kind of top of my head if I'm rating. Just slightly lower than Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed was definitely more polished, grander story, bigger game, more to do. Kena was very straightforward, good animation, little janky. And now I'm thinking, do I play the Final Fantasy VII DLC? I finally can do, because I have a PS5. Or do I play Horizon Forbidden West? I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd say probably much shorter, eh?
Yeah.
And I've almost beaten Super Mario RPG. 7 stars. Yeah, that's been...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's been my kind of off to the side game. I put Danganronpa 2 down because Game Grumps is... I'm like really close to it at that point. So I was like, all right, I'll let them get a good chunk ahead, and then I can play and watch them essentially, because I was having fun. I was having fun doing that.
Well, they're almost done the game.
Yeah, so they'll be done in like 2 months. Or longer, but that's my plan with Danganronpa 2. I'm not done with it, but Mario 7 Stars, I'm probably 3/4 of the way through. I might have 6 or so hours left, and I know we covered it on a past podcast. I did not get this far in that podcast. I think I only played it a couple 2 or 3 hours, just kind of my rule to at least try to do it, play these things that long. Very charming game, very charming. It gets even better when you get to more unique worlds. The isometric view, they do a little bit more platforming with it. Very cool stuff. I love the upgrade system. I never felt like I needed to grind for coins. There's a little grind factor, but I really did this cheese cheat mechanic where you go, there's these things called frog coins in the game, if you remember, Colin. Yeah, and so they're rare coins in the game that get you, there's like 6 items, 6 special items. One's like an experience boost, another is use half magic points situation. Well, there's like a challenge you could do where you just jump platforms across like a cliff, and then you can go to the guy and he goes, "Oh, you want to test your luck? You want to double it?" And you're like, "Sure." So you do it twice and you get 4 coins. So you just do it like 30 times, and you can cheese it because the bullet bills and the isometric view, if you're just slightly off to the side, you can just jump right past them. They don't like clip into your character. So I cheesed that and got the upgrades, and the game is way easier, and it's still a little bit more fun. It's definitely one of those RPGs where you don't like want to try too hard. You just kind of go with it. So it's been my relaxing game to play in between these hard adventures that I've been on. Is that it? Yeah. Play a little Mario Galaxy 2 for no particular reason. Just booted up the Wii. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly the same as Mario Galaxy, the first one. There's like no difference. It's just more, which is fine. I'm okay with those kinds of games.
Yeah, I've beaten the first game, but I haven't played any of the second.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's just more of the same. Nothing too different to talk about there. And finally, I got this book that came in. It's called like the history of Japanese RPGs. It's like a 700-page book. It's a huge compilation. Yeah, it's a beast.
Holy
it's hardback. It's heavy. It's thick. You know. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's by like 8bitbooks.com or something. I think that's the website. But yeah, a lot of effort was put into it. It's got great pictures to describe the games. They aren't reviews of games. They're kind of just a short page overview of the RPG that they're talking about. Like what made this game a hit or a failure. What's unique about it gameplay wise compared to other RPGs, and there's whole dedicated sections on like Shin Megami Tensei, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and I think Tales of was the other one. So I was kind of flipping through it yesterday. I just got it, and it's pretty cool. It's like, for me with a million consoles, it's like the perfect coffee table type book. You know what I mean? Yeah, just kind of put it there, a little display, and it's a really cool read. I really enjoy the purchase. I might get something else by them if something catches my eye. I know they got a Metal Slug book out, but I don't know if it's worth the same as this one. Joey, what you been up to? I know I rambled on there for a while.
Yes. Not much. I picked up V Rising.
I've heard of this.
Played a little bit of that.
Quite a few people in Discord playing this.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It got boring playing it solo, so I put it down. Might try to find and play with people. But I mean, it's interesting. It's a survival vampire game, so You go around killing other things that have like V blood, that you get special abilities, and then you slowly build up your castle and just terrorize everything around you. Everything around you. So, I mean, it was fun, but then it's just got a little boring solo. So, that's pretty much all I played.
Short and sweet. Okay. Yes.
I forgot to mention what I'm playing. Well, appropriately enough, I got into a recent puzzle game called Murder by Numbers. Basically, visual novel murder mystery investigation games along similar lines to Phoenix Wright. In fact, they even got the very same music composer from the original Phoenix Wright trilogy to do the soundtrack, which is a big part of why I bought it to begin with.
It's on Nintendo Switch.
And yeah,
okay. You have my attention. Oh, sick! It's also on Stadia.
Yeah.
Oh man, just what we wanted.
Go out and buy it now.
Okay, it came out a couple of years ago. All right.
But, yeah. So far, it's pretty fun. I mean, the puzzles you solve to get your... Basically, every time you find a clue, you got to solve this little grid puzzle where on each row and column, you get a number or a set of numbers, which represent how many black squares are in each respective row/column. And your job is to figure out where the black squares go. Once you get them all in place, a picture forms. Yeah. And let me just be warned, these puzzles are dangerously addictive. I've had many a night over the past few weeks where I've just completely lost track of time and end up going to bed after midnight, even on a work night.
Yeah, that was me last night, trying to beat that fucking Rot King bullshitter. Ugh.
Yeah, the premise involves like this character, this main character who's like an actress for a murder mystery TV show, and then she ends up getting fired from that job, and then the guy she worked for gets murdered, and then along the way comes across this flying robot named Scout. Just go with it. And what's kind of weird is that her name is Honor. Yes, Honr. I thought it was weird until the flying robot partner shows up and refers to himself as Scout.
Yep.
Get it? Scout's Honor. I know the creators are trying to emulate Phoenix Wright, but even by that series' standards, that's a reach. But yeah, so far it's really fun. I love solving the puzzles. It's super satisfying. It's just like solving Sudoku puzzles. And I loves me some Sudoku. And I think that's everything. I mean, I also bought this game called Mad Rat Dead. I haven't played it yet, but it's supposed to be like a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, but it's also a rhythm game, kind of like Crypta the Necro Dancer, except it's 2D side-scrolling. So I'm looking forward to trying that out once I'm done with Murder by Numbers.
Okay. Just read that Kadri is going to be probably out for the rest of the playoffs for the Avalanche. This upsets me. Bad news. He took a massive boarding hit last night at the start of the game against Edmonton. Very cheap shot. Didn't like that. Yeah. Nah, he's been like a huge X factor this season and in the playoffs. So that's a major loss. Okay. There's some hockey talk. By the way, won the Fantasy Hockey League. Didn't mention that, but I know that's like old news at this point, but I did win, Joey. You lost.
I literally did not.
That was kind of the thing. It's like everyone had their team and then nobody touched it. Just who won organically kind of situation.
Well, yeah. to see what happens, you know?
Okay. I guess I'll play this this drop here, and we can shortly talk about our 2 puzzle games. How about it? Okay.
Okay.
It's all in the mind. If you wanna test me, I'm sure you'll find the things I'll teach you. Sure to beat you. Nevertheless, you'll get a lesson from teacher.
Okay. Drop is played. Time for puzzle platforming games. A nice, simple game theme. I picked 2 puzzle platformers. And boy, did we play them. Now the big question is, Joey, how long did you play them? Okay.
Probably about 10 minutes each.
So you got like 3 levels in, maybe 2?
One of them. The other one I didn't even bother completing.
I'm guessing that was Penguin Land. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I picked 1 NES game and 1 Sega Master System game. Whew. I'm all tongue twisted. Okay, so just kind of a spoiler here on the 2 games. The other one was Adventures of Lolo II, and that's mostly because we played the first one and I loved it so much. I wanted to play the sequel, and I played these for about probably 3 hours a piece. I got much further in Lolo II. It's a much easier, more straightforward puzzle platformer compared to Penguin Land. I enjoyed them both for vastly different reasons. Comparing the 2, which one, like style-wise, did you prefer one or the other, guys?
Not really.
Yeah, they're both just there.
Okay.
I wasn't even thinking about style.
Because they're 2 completely different puzzle elements to it, which I found fascinating. Penguin Land has a very... It doesn't get talked about, like, really at all, at least in the circle that I've seen for Master System collectors or gamers. It's mostly forgotten about, and I think it's one of the more solid Sega Master System games out there. So I'll just kind of go into it a little bit. It came out August 18th, 1987. The plot are 3 penguins are lost on a distant planet. So you know, of course, spaceship, penguins, eggs. Why not? You play the penguin mission commander Overbite, which is a great name. And he's got to guide these eggs to the bottom of a cave, and it has, I guess it has traps. It's got like polar bears and shit in your way, spikes, and the whole crew is at the bottom. So essentially, you're breaking. Oh, I'll just call it ice, and you're pushing this egg to the bottom. And one of the main cruxes of this is you have to avoid breaking the egg or crushing it in some way, or one of these enemies that you'll come across, like a polar bear, will also break it. The egg cannot fall more than 2 blocks lower, and the game has a tremendous use of a little line that's just below, so you know that if you break this thing right there, that it will fall too far and break. So without that, I think the game would have been very frustrating. But other than that, it's really a lot of kind of trial and error, and the hardest aspect of this is the timer on these levels. There's, I think, 50 stages, so it's really long, and with a trial and error element to it, you definitely get your money's worth for a game like this, especially considering that if you had a Master System in 87, you would get a lot of time out of a game. So, I enjoyed it. A little frustrating at times because of that trial and error element, but the more I played those beginning levels, I would start just racing through them in mere minutes, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but the further you get along, you kind of don't want to do those beginning levels again as much. It's kind of my opinion on it. Colin, you have any thoughts?
I found the gameplay reminded me a lot of Lode Runner. Well, with the whole breaking floor blocks in front of you. And a little bit of Tokitori, I suppose.
Would probably be a very close spiritual successor. Probably has nothing to do with it, maybe so, but
yeah. Yeah, I haven't played that in a while, but I still remember it quite fondly. Maybe, and I also see a bit of Ice Climber, but maybe that's because of the Arctic setting.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I played this one for like maybe half an hour total. I mean, I like that the game doesn't penalize you if you move the egg into a corner. I mean, you can just jump on top of it and it'll slide to the side.
Yes, if that was an aspect, that is where the game would get incredibly frustrating. The egg is very easily movable left and right.
Yeah. Although if it's in a pit with walls on both sides, if you jump on it, it breaks. So watch out for that.
Yeah, I did that quite a lot when I first played this game. I thought I could just jump to the other side, but if your character clips into it or whatnot, it'll break, yeah.
Not much more to say about this one on my end. I mean, it was fun for a while, but then it started getting repetitive and frustrating, even with save states. I mean, I got stuck on one level and just put it down after that.
Yeah, it's better just to save state if you're just at the top of the stage and just try to beat it that way rather than get like halfway down and then you realize that you went the wrong direction on a stage. Yeah, there was quite a few times where I'd have like 1 or 2 rows left and I was like, oh, I could just, because it's deceptive. When you get to the bottom, it's like 10 feet. It's a 10 feet drop, but the egg survives that, but it can't survive the 2-foot drop. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But that happened a couple times where I was at the very end, and I was still too high. Technically, that was kind of cheap. But Joey, you have any other thoughts?
I liked it when the gorilla bear thing would punch the egg.
Well, bam.
And then it'd be so proud of itself, and then it'd keep doing it until it punched into a wall and it broke.
Yeah, you can kill the bears and stuff by having blocks kind of fall on them. That was a cool. Yeah, that was a cool aspect of the game. You get big points for that. Oh god. Speaking of points, I went to the bar on Friday after work, and there's a new-ish bowling arcade game, the one with the white ball that you roll. You know what I'm talking about, guys? It's usually in golf games.
Yeah. Yes.
This one's on a bowling game, and it's very particular about how you can curve the hook the ball. But I watched this group of kids suck so bad at this game. I was just turned slightly. I had the Cubs-Cardinals game on one side, and then I'm watching these kids just suck unbelievably hard at this bowling game. They could not figure it out. They must have been maybe first graders. Maybe they're a little older, and I'm giving them too much credit of their suckage to being how young they are. But regardless, one kid bowled a 7. Another kid bowled like a 24. Kid 1 tried again. He got a little better with a 16 in his second attempt. Another kid bowled like a 30. They were horrible. They just could not figure out the concept of this, of just how to make this ball do anything remotely. They just did not understand the concept of bowling. They're just like, bowl, roll the ball, and then it's like, why is it go in the gutter every time? And I'm looking at him, it's like, well, it's because you're like on the gutter or you're aiming directly at it. It was quite hilarious. When they went away, I bowled a 195, so obviously this game sucks. I'm better in real life. Never gonna play it again.
Mm-hmm.
Good for like the 13th highest score on the machine so far. So at least I have that proud aspect to it. But yeah, my average is higher than the high score on that machine. Disgusting. Okay. I will pass Penguin Land, but it gets kind of a barely out of me.
I give it a fail.
I'm going to fail it as well. It was boring.
Next game, Adventures of Lolo II, HAL Laboratory, came out January 1990. It's part of the Eggerland series. This is the 6th iteration of, I guess, this series. And Adventures of Lolo II, not on the Switch Online service. I was very upset to discover that. So I had to emulate this bitch because I don't have it on my NES yet. I do want all 3 eventually, but after playing this, I don't really see a need. It is the exact same game as Adventures of Lolo 1, just 50 more levels and a boss you can shoot at the end, which is very strange. King Egger. You are, I guess, an egg. I guess that's one way to say it. And you got blocks you can push. You're supposed to get the... What are they called? They're not coins or anything. What are they called, Colin? Those things you collect in the game, and then you can unlock the exit.
I just thought they were heart blocks. I don't know what they're called.
Blocks, then. I'm pretty sure I read that they had a specific name, but regardless, game's slightly harder than the first one. It ramps up in difficulty when you go. It's another 50 level game, so maybe that was just par for the course back then. Puzzle game, 50 levels, then it's over. That's all I gotta say about it. Like, it's even drawn almost the exact same way as the first one.
Were those stone heads supposed to be like Medusa or something that you had to block? Or
yes, Medusa, Don Medusa. That's what I'm reading. Goal Rocky. Yeah, essentially they're these blocks that if you get in their line of sight, they will wreck your shit. You're supposed to set up a block or two kind of in their way so they don't run into you, because they come like a bat out of hell. You got no chance if you go into their line of sight. They're kind of one of the more difficult things to tackle as you go level to level. And as when you leave when you get the last heart block, then it's a race to the finish in case there's like enemies still lurking about. So you don't want to run into them. I died quite a few times due to that race to the finish. Gets rough at the later levels. I got like 20 levels into this. I played it a long time.
It's about 17 too many levels.
Sounds like you played this longer, Joey.
Managed to get...
Nah, I played 3 and then I watched someone play it. And I didn't realize that if you shot one of the snake things, push the bubble into the water, then you can walk on the water.
Of course.
Makes sense. I'm so stupid. Why didn't I think of that?
These things. You need to play more puzzle games, Joey.
Obviously.
Colin?
Well, I think I played up to floor 3. And yeah, I remember Lolo being advertised in old Archie comics books that I would read on long family road trips way back when. But never ended up playing it, nor did I knew anyone who owned it. So this was kind of a newer experience. I mean, I did like how pressing select will suicide you so you can start the stage over again. Because, yeah, sometimes you get into situations where we've made the puzzle unsolvable.
That happened a number of times. It does have a password system, very simple. So you can easily get back to that level you were at. So the replayability and frustration was not as much as a lot of other puzzle games we play.
Yeah. And yeah, these are some legitimately challenging puzzles. I mean, they're easy at first, but after 1 or 2 stages, it starts ramping up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's like level 3.
I think those...
Immediately you get hit with the fucking skulls and Medusas. You're like, okay, the game's changed.
Yeah, those are the... those are the biggest pain in the ass.
You see the skulls level 2. Level 3 is that roly-poly motherfucker.
I think it's an armadillo.
Yep, roly-poly motherfucker.
Okay.
I'm going to write that down. That's going to be the tagline.
Yeah.
Roly-poly motherfucker.
Does the background music change at all later?
I don't know. I
game?
just threw a podcast on and listened to this. Or I listened to that while I was playing these games. Because way too often, a lot of these old games that are like pre-92, the music is just on loop for one track. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was playing it a bit last night, and then I finally realized what it reminded me of. It was the Chips Challenge game from the days of Windows 3.1.
That's really specific.
Do you guys remember that?
I do not remember Windows 3.1
at all.
You forget, I didn't even have a computer until like 2004. Like, the only computer I had exposure to was at school when it was like typing class. And we were playing Gizmos and Gadgets and Oregon Trail. Or I'd go to Joey's house where he'd have like 4 computers.
My family
got all playing EverQuest.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, I have
oh my
4
god,
computers in my room right now.
Well, my family did get a computer in like the mid-90s, so that's where I knew all that from. It's just one. Chips Challenge was one of those games that was included with Windows along with Space Cadet Pinball.
I remember Netscape. Netscape was a thing.
Yes, it was.
God, I remember fucking those classes with Netscape, and they're teaching us HTTP / and then you can put in your your website. And everyone's like, "What is going on? I don't get it." And it's like, and now you wait 5 minutes for the thing to load. It's like, okay, cool. We'll just sit here then.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, if you look up Chips Challenge on the LGR channel on YouTube, you'll see what I mean when I compare it to Lolo.
All right. Yeah, little top down, simple puzzle game. Nice little character. Now, I gotta ask, if they were to like, not remake, but just make another Penguin Land or Lolo game in 2022. Let's say same perspective. The game releases for, I don't know, $15 on Switch. Just throwing it out there. Kind of like what they're doing with the Cotton series. They're making just new games and they're keeping it kind of in its form. They're just upgrading certain elements, certain gameplay stuff. Do you think they could do a lot more with these 2 games and it's worth kind of bringing back for a cheap little fun game to have? Or do you think the concept of these 2 puzzle games are just in the past? Guys?
It may depend on who you ask. I mean, getting back to Chips Challenge, there are still people to this day who like making like fan-made puzzles or mods and such and updating the graphics. But for me personally, I don't think so. I mean, like I said, Penguin Land is like Lode Runner, and I like that one better, and I can see that getting a new coat of paint and some new puzzles and content added to it, I'd be on board with that. But for either of these games, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
I don't see anything like these games being anything popular. You need something more, or at least 3D, maybe have a story with it. Just puzzles by itself just feel like it's a mini game that shouldn't be a whole game by itself.
I think if you get someone creative behind Penguin Land, you can introduce new mechanics and stuff to completely. I think when it's all said and done, if we're to come out with these again, at least in the terms of Penguin Land, it wouldn't remotely even be the same game, which might be for the best. While Lolo, I have definitely played games and seen games come out that are just like this top-down perspective, moving blocks, collecting pieces on a map. Like that's nothing new. I think Penguin Land has more legs to be remade, remastered, any of those things. A sequel. I believe Penguin Land had a sequel, actually. Maybe? I could be thinking of totally. Doki Doki
Possibly.
Penguin Land series. Yeah. Doki Doki Penguin Land Mega Drive did have a... And then they compiled the games for the Sega CD. There you go. 1991.
Nice.
How about that? Okay. You can... Let's see. How much do these games go for? Penguin Land goes for about $15 on the Master System. I think I paid like $8 many years ago. And then Lolo II, yeah, this one is definitely more expensive. It goes for like $45 on the NES. That's a little steep for a puzzle game. Yeah. Okay.
Looks like looks like there's a Lode Runner game on Nintendo Switch. I'll probably check that out.
I will barely pass Lolo 2. I think my big reason behind not convincingly passing, because I really did love the first one a lot, is this second one just... It's kind of like Mario Galaxy 2. It's just more of the same, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a tried and true formula. If you want another game or more content, just think of it as I guess in modern terms, it's like the DLC to the first game. It's just 50 more levels. I was really hoping for kind of newer mechanics, maybe a different coat of paint kind of situation on it. It didn't have that. So I'm going to keep this simple. I give them both C's. And I guess I'll take Penguin Land.
I'll keep it even more simple.
Oh!
I'm giving them both D's. And I guess I'll take Lolo reluctantly.
Joey with the harsh scores.
I give Penguin Land a C and Lolo a B.
So Colin gets them both C's. He has the say. Okay. Why'd you give Lolo a B? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. I just had more fun with it. I mean, like I said, I can't see it being remade in modern times, but I still had enough fun with it. I mean, I do kind of like these kinds of puzzles. I feel very accomplished when I solve them. So Lolo kind of does that for me, so I figured, why not? Of course, my brain is still recovering from all the vacation and brutal overtime at work, so don't take what I say too seriously.
I was like, there's only so much adrenaline I can have in my video games sometimes. That's why I'm like been in this big Mario mood as well, playing the Galaxy 2 and Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Like, playing these puzzle games and just throwing on a podcast, it's very relaxing. And I kind of needed that. It came at a good time.
Yeah, it's the same reason I like Murder by Numbers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that game. But I honestly, I haven't played the other two Phoenix Wright games on my little trilogy that I have on the Switch, so I gotta get through Danganronpa 2 first. I can't be playing too many games at once. I get caught up in that too often.
Yeah, Murder by Numbers is a very low-key game. You can just go at your own pace. The real appeal is the puzzles themselves,
Right.
not so much the story. I mean, the story's okay. I just like the puzzles a lot better.
Puzzlecast. Joey, are there any puzzle games you do like, out of curiosity?
I don't know. I can't think of puzzle games off the top of my head. So, I mean, I like puzzles in games. I don't know if I like games
Okay.
just built around puzzles.
Okay, fair enough.
Although I do remember liking a game called Contraption Maker many, many years ago. That was kind of a puzzle game, but no, I can't think of puzzle games.
Okay. So our next episode, tentatively, is going to have the return of Kevin for an episode. We like bringing him on every now and again back to the cast. OG host. His theme is love the game on this bad console. I really tried to convince him to pick a 3DO game, but we like Gex. I really wanted him to pick something, but we know his weird dislike of the Nintendo 64, so there's a big hint for next podcast. And if something falls through there, we do have your pick, Colin, that we can kind of default to, which would be easy enough to do.
Yep. Rage Against the Machines.
So it's going to be one of those two, depending on availability. Look forward to that. This was fun. See you next time, everybody.